I did not film an official introduction, so welcome to the introduction. This is the final installation of the Last Hours trilogy. We are going to talk about Chain of Thorns. In this video, I basically go chapter by chapter and talk about every little thing, so there's definitely spoilers. So let's go ahead and just get into it. We're going to jump right on in.
Completely forgot my microphone for the last couple updates. So they weren't big. They were mostly just about Anna and Ariadne. I really did not like that relationship because I just feel like Anna was so awful and rude to Ariadne. I know that they had history, so I guess we're going to come back around. We mentioned a little bit about what their relationship was like. So I guess 2 years prior to the current time, they were dating, but Ariadne wanted to have kids and she was not ready to out herself. Plus, her family was really pushing for her duty to like get married and have kids, essentially not be gay. So Ariadne finds some pretty damning evidence that her dad is the Inquisitor. That's right. So her dad is the Inquisitor. He is actually trying to blackmail someone into siding with him against the Herondales, and Ariadne is incredibly upset about this. She ends up losing her temper and outing herself to her mom. Her mom didn't seem quite surprised, but is like, no, you have a duty. And she's like, absolutely not. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna go be myself. And if you can't live with me being myself, then I'm out. And she leaves. She's very incredibly upset. And she goes to Anna's for help because Anna has figured out how to not live a traditional female lifestyle. She lives on her own and doesn't need a man. So she's asking Anna to help her find independence. That's really cool. I'm actually really liking that. And then we move on over to James, and James is thinking about how he's starting to notice like how much all the people in his life, how much he missed out on their lives, and how that's just crazy. And he's maybe kind of thinking that, yeah, he could say that it was all the bracelet's fault, but is part of it his fault too? And like the things that he didn't notice, like how his sister's fallen in love and Matthew's issues with drinking. So yeah, interesting. Now we have moved on over to what part of the story? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Let's just continue. Oh, that's right. Now James is talking to Jem regarding Grace, and Grace is in the Silent City, and they have decided to keep her power a secret. And Jem called it that James hasn't told anyone because James is, I guess, worried how that would make him look. He doesn't want pity and people feeling sorry for him. But I'm just like, it feels kind of like, it doesn't really feel like an adequate reason. It feels more like it's being used as a plot device so that we could have kept up this miscommunication between everyone. So, well, it's that time of day where I'm really popular. Popular isn't as cool as an adult, I'm just saying. I'm finished. I'm just doing the last sign off stitch, and this is all the yarn I have left from that ball, so it completely used up that. So that's pretty cool. Now the tedious task of taking all these strings and weaving them in. So I gotta go get a tapestry needle or crochet. Okay, I knew this was coming. I knew it. So it has to be dramatic, of course. It has to be the most dramatic, which also equals the most hurtful. So James is talking to Lucy, and he's like, why didn't you tell me, and things like that. And this is the first Lucy is realizing how much James really loves Cordelia as well, because he thought that she thought that he was in love with Grace as well as everybody did. And he's like, no, I don't think I ever did love her. But he still doesn't want to tell her why, because he's still like, I need to tell Cordelia the truth first. And I'm just like, okay, whatever. But she told him to go to Paris and find them and talk to her. So, oh God. Oh God. Okay, let's do this. Oh, it's gonna be so bad. Ooh, okay, I did not know that. So Malcolm Fade was actually raised by a Blackthorn. So he has this really brilliant plan that Jesse can come and live as a shadow hunter as a Blackthorn, but not Jesse Blackthorn. So apparently a lot of the Blackthorns left being shadow hunters and they went to live as mundanes, but it doesn't mean that they don't still carry the shadow hunter like Nephilim gene. So their plan is brilliant. He's going to be the long lost child of one of these other Blackthorns that left, and he's gonna to stay and train as a shadow hunter. I love this plan. It's so cool. All right, Jesse is now Jeremy. All right, back to Paris. Okay, so they're both like wallowing in their self-pity of like how responsible they are for all these bad things. She's just like, I need to cut off my hands or whatever. Don't you ever talk about hurting yourself. He's like, if you do it, you hurt me because I love you. I'm like, oh, okay. All right. Oh god. She wants him to kiss her. I do not like this. For the first time ever, I'm really not like. So she's asking Matthew to kiss her. And it's all because she feels so bad about everything. And this is one person that actually cares for her. And I just don't feel like that's fair. It's not nice to do to somebody who genuinely cares and loves you. Like, she should put herself in that position of, she cares for James, so like, how would she feel? Well, I can't say that. She knows how it feels because she has been kissing someone who she believes, she married someone she believes doesn't care for her back, and yet she did it to herself anyways. So I guess she doesn't have a whole lot of respect for that kind of feeling or limitations on that kind of feeling, and realizing what he's telling her is that he has his limits on how much he is masochistic in that emotional way, and she's kind of taking advantage of it. I don't like it. But this is going to lead to something. Oh, great. She's thinking about James. She wants to forget about James, so she's going to kiss his parabatai. Back to Paris. Okay, they're making out. Oh my god. Oh my god. No. Things are super hot and heated with them. It hurts. It already hurts. I know. They're going to get back to the hotel and James is going to see them. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for this. I'm almost done with this though. I literally have like 4 strings left. Just the way it came out, Matthew's like, oh my god, we have to get back to the hotel before I disgrace myself in front of everyone. Oh my god, this hurts already.
Cordelia could not stop and almost hysterical in the glass opposite. She looked flushed, almost drunk.
Okay, they're in the room.
They were still in the entryway, but the door was locked. They were alone.
Oh no.
Matthew's eyes were their darkest green, nearly black, as he pushed the cloak from her shoulders. It fell in a soft, whispering heap at her feet. Matthew's hands were skilled. Long fingers curled around the back of her neck. She raised her face to be kissed. Let him not think James has never kissed me, she thought, and kissed him back, willing thoughts of James out of her head. She looped her arms around Matthew's neck. His body was slim and hard against hers, his mouth soft. She flicked her tongue across his lower lip, felt him shiver. His free hand drew down the sleeve of her dress, baring her shoulder. He kissed the uncovered skin, and Cordelia heard herself gasp. Who was this, she thought? Someone who was wanted, truly wanted. She could feel it in the way Matthew held her. Her hands were under his jacket. She could feel the heat of him through the thin cotton of his shirt, feel the flutter in his stomach when she brushed it with her palm. We can't. Not here. Your room. It's a mess. We'll go to yours, he said, and kissed her hard, swinging her up in his arms. He carried her through the French doors into the living room. She reached to touch his face, a shadow in the darkness, just as the lights went on. She blinked for a moment, her eyes adjusting to the new illumination. Someone had switched on the Tiffany lamp in the reading corner. Someone who was sitting in the plush velvet armchair beneath the lamp. Someone in a black travelling suit.
My
pale
stomach
face, a
hurts.
smudge of white between his shirt and his crow-black hair.
My
Someone
stomach
with eyes
just
the colour of
dropped.
lamplight and fire. James.
Okay, we're moving on to a different perspective so that we can, like, that moment when the lights go on, you're just like, he saw all of that. He heard all of that. He had to hear his wife call out Matthew's name. Oh, God. My stomach literally just dropped. Oh my god, that is hilarious. So Thomas and Alistair are looking for a hiding spot for Cortana. And Thomas is so sweet. I love Thomas. I love Thomas in love because he's just cracking me up. His mind is like thinking about these like very romantic, poetic notion things of like his observances. Oh my god. He like thinks these intrusive thoughts and then he's like, oh, come on, stop it. Don't think like that. James, Lucy, Will, Jesse, who's now not Jesse anymore, Jeremy, whatever they decided his name was going to be, and Magnus have returned home, and Thomas notices the intimacy between the stranger and Lucy, so he wants to play Big Brother. I think that's kind of cute. Back to Paris, where
James.
it's getting real.
His face expressionless, but he was white as chalk.
It hurts again already.
Stretched too tightly.
This is the thing. It's so hard because I want James and Lucy to be in love. But the whole reason she ran off with him in the first place was because she thought he and Grace were still in love. They're definitely under this misconception. Oh my god, just like every time I think about this and like visualize this scene, like my heart hurts so bad. Oh, but like he kind of had it coming. I guess that's just, oh, this is just so hard. Okay. The narrator of this audiobook is fantastic too, because she gets very serious when it comes to James's responses, and is very like deadpan, as you could imagine he truly would be responding. So this is an amazing narrator, I'm just saying. But
Yes, Cordelia said. She felt as if she was some distance outside her body, looking down. Matthew beside her was taking short, shallow breaths. You did not seem as if you hated Grace then, James. You took her in your arms. You said, I know what I said. That was the night I left, Cordelia cried. The same night. You cannot say you would have followed me here. James's voice sounded scorched,
Exactly.
bleak as Belial's land. I came as soon as I could, for both of you. I thought, if I could explain. James, Matthew said. His voice shook. You didn't want...
see, that makes it even feel worse, because he's like, I miss my parent pie, I miss my wife who I love. It's almost like a huge betrayal, right? It feels like a betrayal. Ugh.
I was wrong about my own feelings. I was wrong about my marriage. I didn't think it was real. It was real. The most real thing in my life. He looked directly at Cordelia. I wish to repair the broken things. To put them back together. I wish... Does it not matter what I wish? Cordelia tightened her grip on Matthew's hand. Does it not matter? All the times we went to parties, to gatherings, and you stared at Grace instead of looking at me. That you kissed her while we were married.
Exactly.
By coming here with Matthew, I am sorry, but I did not think you would care. That I would not care, James repeated, and looked down at the bottle in his hand. I was here for hours, before you came in. I thought I might try getting myself drunk on this stuff, thinking it would keep my courage up, but it does taste like the vilest poison.
Okay, so now Cordelia feels that she was already feeling betrayed by James, and then Matthew had promised that he wasn't going to drink while he was there, and I think she really like let herself trust that he was listening to her. And this is obviously going to hit a little bit closer to home to her too, because her dad was an alcoholic. Now she feels like he's been lying to her also. So she just feels like all these people just keep lying to her. And then even Lucy, I know she's realized there's been a lot of secrecy between her and Lucy as well. So it's like, I feel like she really feels like she's lost everything, everybody. She can't trust anybody. And I feel really bad for Cordelia. I kind of feel like Cassandra Clare totally gave us an out, because while some readers might be feeling like, well, James is so wishy-washy, why doesn't she be with Matthew? For all the Matthew stands, now this is the out to be like, well, he's just as much of a liar. So it's kind of like weighing the scales of like who is better. Oh man, this is so good. Oh, good and sad and hard. But oh no, he's just like, I shouldn't have come. Yeah, but then they would have taken that next step. I love how she settled that. The boys started arguing. Matt definitely has a point where he's like, you got the letter and you come here like a dark angel. Like, you want her and then you want her. And like, you can't make up your mind sort of thing. But they don't know about the bracelet and all that stuff. But I can see where he's coming from, He definitely has a freaking point. And I feel the same frustration if I didn't know the other stuff. But Cordelia's so cool. She's always so cool. She just settles it. She's like, oh, no. Y'all sort out your stuff. I'm not coming in between this. I'm going home. Oh, yes. Okay. The scene replayed out, but through James's perspective. Oh, God. Oh.
Really? And she had been kissing him back, her head tilted, hands in his hair, and James could remember, painfully, what kissing Cordelia was like. Hotter and better than any fire. He had felt sick and ashamed and desperate, and did not even remember reaching for the cord of the lamp. But he had, and here they were. Matthew had gone, and James knew he needed to talk with Cordelia. Needed to tell her the truth, no matter how awkward the circumstances.
Seriously.
It would not become less awkward if he withheld the reason he was here. He knocked twice and opened the door. The room was decorated in pale pastels.
This is what not communicating gets you. Oh, that kind of feels gross. I'm not gonna lie. At first it didn't, but the last comment did. Because he's like having this like inner monologue of like seeing Cordelia and just being like, his inner monologue is telling him like, just take her and touch her and hold her. But then it had to add like Matt did. Oh, no. He doesn't act on it, but our thoughts and our actions, just because you think something doesn't mean you're a bad person. You never thought of me at all.
He had loved her ever since, but had not known it. Even in his blindness, though, her voice had sent disconcerting shivers up his spine. I thought of you all the time, he said. It was true. He had thought of her, dreamed of her. The bracelet had whispered to him that none of it meant anything. I wanted you with me, all the time. She turned to face him. Her dress had slipped part way off one shoulder, baring the skin, a soft gold brown against the crimson of her dress. You said that you loved Grace. Now you say you want me. What am I to make of that? Other than that you only want what you cannot have. Grace came to you. I saw her, and her voice shook slightly. And now you have decided you feel nothing for her, but you do want me. How am I to imagine that you mean what you say? Tell me. Tell me something that will make me feel this is real.
Thank
This
you.
is the moment. Unbelievable for one thing, though he knew he could convince her eventually, especially once they had returned to London. It wasn't that he couldn't make her believe him. It was more than that.
He's not going to tell her. Oh my God. I'm so frustrated. That was such a good response. Just not being impulsive with her responses. You know, she likes to think things out. She's not...
Had twice faced down a prince of hell.
Leaving her is harder than fighting any demons. He loves her so much. My heart hurts. It hurts.
8. Against peace. Once for all. I knew to my sorrow.
Oh, God. Okay, I can't read anymore. I have to go make dinner. And I have to charge my phone because it's going to die. And we're just going to be... Hey, guys. Welcome back. It is Saturday. My kids are home. The robot vacuum is doing its thing as well. So, to me, it sounds pretty noisy in the background. Here in a few hours, we're going to be going to kind of a post-tournament ice cream party that our dojo puts on. Until then, I am going to be listening to Chain of Thorns. We're starting chapter 9, and I have not really made breakfast, so I think that I'm going to go ahead, put on my headphones, and make some breakfast while I listen to this. This part right here, and as I said, I had to backtrack, so some of this I've already listened to, so unfortunately the very first react lost in time, but right now we are getting to the point where so the group from Paris has returned to London, and Cordelia is realizing how much she didn't know about Lucy falling in love with Jesse, everything going on with that. That's really kind of just adding to a lot of stuff that she's going through. She feels like Grace and Jesse are now closer to Lucy than she is, and she's supposed to be her pair of ties. She's like and now because of her being a paladin, she can't tie herself to Lucy either with that bond, so she's just feeling really in the dumps right now. So she's gonna go ahead and go home. Lucy wanted to try to talk to her, but she's like, I just can't right now, so she's about to go home. James catches up with her, and this is the scene we're at right now.
Yes, let's go home to Curzon Street. She said nothing. That house is our home, he said in the same quiet tone.
Alright, this part hurts so bad. So, this is another, like, scene that really cuts deep. Like, I feel so bad for them. So James catches up with her. Let's go home to Curzon Street. It's our home. And she is telling him no, she wants to go home to her mother. It's been too long. She wants to stay there for a while. Okay, so he's like, this is not a home without you in it. And she's like, this was supposed to be your home with Grace. So he starts to tell her, no, I wasn't thinking of her at all. He's just like begging Cordelia to come home and they can play chess and they can talk, and he just really just wants to be in her space so bad and put everything out on the table, you know, whatever she wants to talk about with him. She's realizing that she doesn't really trust that because everything that their like marriage has been fake.
He said mechanically.
It's like a pissing contest between James and Will. James and Matthew. James was going to take her to the place where her mother lives. Matthew comes out and is like, or you could take my carriage. And it's such like a standoff, like, who are you gonna choose? As if her ride home is like the man she's choosing. Oh my god. Fucking guys, I swear.
A handsome pal was just
Thankfully, her brother comes to get her to spare her from this ridiculous standoff. Again, I really just love Cordelia, how like self-reflective she can be. She's like she's really good at seeing the whole picture. She's just like, I'm just tired. Like, she needs to just separate herself from the situation. So now that she's gone, Matthew and James are standing there, and James is being reasonable and Matthew is acting out because he's hurt. So, okay. Like, we cannot forget what the impression James left on everyone. Green light in way that James was with Grace and that he loved her. And so he's like, I didn't think that you would mind if I was with her because you were supposed to be with Grace. It's so reasonable. This is a statement that at this point, now that I've mentioned it a few times, I feel like this is a statement that keeps getting reiterated. Yes, it's a very confusing situation. Oh, okay. So we've closed out chapter 9 with James and Matthew kind of hashing it out in a way and just being honest with each other. Like, why didn't you tell me these things? And it's just such a good conversation. So I really feel great that they have squared everything away. On that note, I'm going to go downstairs and make us some food. All right, I'm into chapter 11. The Merry Thieves have come together. They've invited everyone to discuss the issues at hand with Belial, with Lilith, with Cordelia being the paladin. Right before this, James was walking around the house and just kind of like pointing out all the like little details that he put in the house for Cordelia's sake, and it is just the most sweetest thing ever. Like he put the Carstairs crest up and everything, and he's just like, how did she not see this? But yeah, and so I think so he is packing up some things as well. I think he doesn't feel right about staying at the house without her. It's too much of a reminder of what's been going on. So I think he's planning on going home as well, because it talked about him packing up as well. So yeah, and Cordelia is like feeling so down in the dumps that she was really surprised that when she showed up to this meeting, they were discussing the issue with Lilith, and they've been doing their research and everything while she was off in Paris. Like, she downplayed it and was saying, well, you know, of course we want to figure out how I can wield Cortana so that I can injure Belial. And Lucy was like, and we care about you. So there's that. I think that's all the updates I have right now. So Cordelia runs into Will, who's Jess's dad, not to be confused with Matthew, because I keep getting their names twisted sometimes. Anyways, Will. She runs into Will, James's dad. Cordelia was explaining the situation with her mother. Anyways, this is a scene where James and Cordelia get to talk a little bit more, and James gives Cordelia the gloves that he's been carrying around since she had left for Paris, and she's really shocked by this little gesture. It's one of those like little things. See, I can't get you out of my mind. I've been thinking about you. I care about you. I love you. Something I've noticed about this that I'm really loving is the humor. We're getting some really cool humorous moments in this story. The first one is when Cordelia has all of her magically shipped to her house. And I guess the maid that lives there was just like, oh my god, like this thing just popped up here out of nowhere. And it was really funny. She goes, how much stuff did you buy in Paris? Did you get a Frenchman? And Cordelia responds with, hush now, he's sleeping. It is such a good, witty, funny quip. But now we are at the meeting of the Merry Thieves, and they're talking about Lucy summoning the ghost of Cordelia's father. Lucy's kind of cold towards her. She kind of snaps at her. So the rest of the Merry Thieves can kind of see the distance in their relationship as well. Another thing that is just the funniest thing is Charles invented a magical telephone. So he took inspiration from the mundane's telephone that we know of a telephone, and he made it magical for the Shadowhunters to be able to communicate. So they get a phone call on this phone. Oh god, there goes my voice. And it is a Shadowhunter by the name of Pangborn, I want to say. And they're like yelling into the phone, talking really slow. They're not used to talking into it. They can't believe that the other person can be heard. And they kind of just don't quite understand how that transition works, and this is like the greatest scene. It is so funny. But apparently the message is that they found Tatiana. Pangborns have decided to keep them at their institute in like a lockdown, but they're like, y'all need to come and deal with her. We don't want her here at all, and you all need to come and get her. So for the time being, like, I've got her. So very interesting indeed. They are finally getting to have this conversation. Finally, James is going to tell her. Oh, he tells her that. He says, when someone you love is leaving, you run after them to tell them how you feel to get them back. Okay. One of those like melodramatic scenes where it's in real life. If you're in the middle of that conversation, you would not just, okay, good night, bye. It's very like theatrical and dramatic scene. Again, the carriage apparently pulls up and they end the conversation there, and she's gonna go ahead and go home. So we can carry this out for longer, of course. like deadpan, she goes, okay, well, thanks for the gloves, good night. Now finally Lucy and Cordelia are going to be able to have that conversation that is much overdue. Ooh, okay. So they are really hashing it out, thank goodness, because they need to definitely find that honesty between them and put it all on the table. So Cordelia totally calls her on this. She's like, you didn't tell me what you were up to because you wanted to do whatever you wanted to do, and you didn't want me fussing at you over Grace. She's really hurt because she didn't trust her, that she could understand what it was like to be in love with Jesse or whatever. So now Lucy is kind of coming back at her about how parabatai are supposed to tell each other everything, and that's something I've been kind of seeing this from the beginning, is that like they're the worst parabatai couple. And I find it very interesting, and I know this has been criticized a lot, is like, how come the parabatai couples are always two males? This is like the first time there's actually two females, but there was the Dark Artifices too, where I think wasn't there a pair of girls? I can't remember, because Dark Artifices again was just so hard for me. Anyways, from my recollection, this is like the first pair of girls that are going to be parabatai, and they're like the worst. They're keeping secrets from each other, and a lot of our male parabatai couples, they get over their differences so much faster. And I guess some people think that's men versus women as well, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the case. But at least they're gonna hash it out. Just the fact of the matter that they just seem like they're not meant to be parabatai, because they don't act like any of the other parabatai couples that do like confide in each other, that do lean on each other. I just think that that's interesting, that goes hand in hand with them also being the only female parabatai. But Lucy's also upset because her brother is upset, and she's kind of putting that blame on Cordelia, like, I can't believe you did this, my brother's in love with you. And Cordelia's like, well, you don't even know the story, like, you don't know what he did. Ooh, okay, so Cordelia rightfully gets upset, saying like, you don't know what it's like to be the only person in a marriage that feels anything, and this guy's like in love with somebody else, and on top of it making out with. And Lucy straight up called her a liar.
It is the same as the distance between myself and James. It has a name. Grace Black.
I really like how she called that out though. She's like, and it's all Grace Blackthorn. So Lucy's calling her proud. She says, so what if I am? What does it even matter? We're not even going to be parabatai. And this is where like it's starting to really hurt on a different level. Now they're kind of going into questioning are they even good friends? Are they meant to be parabatai? Does she even want her to be her parabatai anymore? Even if she could break the bond with Lilith. Now Cordelia is like, you don't even live in the real world. Lucy is like a vixen. She's not like other girls. She's not like a lot of the other heroines though. Oh, you need to be dignified, you need to follow the rules, don't be with the boys. Lucy goes to see Jesse and kind of doesn't like that he's trying to be a gentleman, be respectful of the Herondale's home and hospitality by by getting too close to Lucy, like they're not married, all that kind of thing. And Lucy is acting like she's really resentful of it all. And like, I do get it, but show a little restraint, I guess. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting. So they're making out right now. Lucy and James are making out. Things are getting really hot and heavy, by the way. And suddenly they start getting like sucked into the shadows or something. Something crazy is going on. And they have decided that it's probably something because of how Jessie was brought back and her ability to touch those shadows and stuff. So they're going to call Magnus to figure all that out. So we're getting into Grace. So Grace went to the Silent Brothers and they have been questioning her about all kinds of stuff. Jessie actually just came to visit her. Their reunion is pretty nice. Like, they're both like happy to see each other, obviously. Grace seems incredibly remorseful. I actually really like that we have this character arc and I guess I am warming up to that idea. I mean, I guess she deserves a second chance. So that's nice. When I first read over this, I was like, not all about it. I was like, I don't care. She's still a bad person kind of thing. But then we went back over to Ariadne and Anna's perspective. Ariadne is looking for another apartment so that she can get out of Anna's hair. She's kind of lying about it. She has not found a place, but she doesn't want to like overstay her welcome and stuff. And Jessie is informing Grace of the news about Tatiana, how she's been found. They're going to transport her to Idris, try her by the mortal sword, and Jesse also wants Grace to go live at the Institute. That is not going to go over well with James and Cordelia, or anybody, but we'll see how that plays out. I really like what Jesse says. I'm really growing on Jesse more. I did kind of think him and Lucy's relationship was kind of weird, a little expected. A little predictable, but he's actually a really good person, and you could see this. Like, Grace fesses up to everything that she did to Jesse, except for the one thing that she did to him. But it's progress. Jesse is very upset with her and cannot believe that Grace actually listened and followed through and did all these things, and she was like, oh, I had no choice. It was to bring you back. And this actually really upsets him. He's like, oh, no. Do not use me as an excuse. You know, she still did make a choice to do those things. So I think that's really interesting because it is the blackmail. Do this or I'm going to do this. At the end of the day, you still have a choice. And she chose wrong. So I kind of get that it's natural for like our friends to say their piece and opinions about other friends' personal lives and stuff. So basically we go back to Thomas, Alistair, and Charles, who are all hanging out, and then they're kind of talking about everybody. So back to Cordelia being a paladin, they're trying to like brainstorm different ideas of things that she could do, and they're like, well, she can go around like doing good things and feeding the needy and stuff like that. And Alistair's like, well, she always does good things. And then he goes, well, except for recently, I guess. And then it comes up the subject of her going away to Paris. It feels really repetitive, and then they kind of poked at it, talked about it briefly, and then Alistair left. And I felt that was sufficient. To add all this extra conversation around the topic feels incredibly repetitive. Now Charles and Thomas are like analyzing the relationship and how everyone feels, and I'm just like, I really feel that this is very unnecessary. Now Cordelia is also having a conversation with Anna, and the whole James thing comes up, so she rehashes what James did to her. Well, Grace and James, and why she ended up in Paris. And again, I just feel like while it's realistic to tell a story over and over for your friends that maybe weren't there the first time you told it, I just feel like when you're reading a book, it feels a little repetitive. But we are getting everyone else's perspective on the situation. I think I'm kind of, the more I sit with it, the more I'm kind of like, I don't understand why we did this. So Cordelia's gonna go look for Matthew, so she has an instinct that she would find him at that like nightclub thing, Hypatia's place. But there's something that kind of bothers me when she says that she knew about Matthew's drinking, but she was staying really guarded, and she was very angry, and therefore she was not sympathetic because she was trying to guard herself from all the pain her father put her through. However, this is kind of one of those things where we're just embellishing the truth, because it wasn't until recently that she even found out her dad was an alcoholic. And it was because of the alcohol of all this stuff. Like, she didn't grow up knowing he's choosing alcohol over me, over his family. I don't really like this, oh, let's now play the tortured damsel who's been harmed by this because you didn't really know. Even though it's the truth, you didn't grow up with that gnawing feeling because you really were in the dark. So there is a big difference. Alright, so Cordelia sent a message to everyone. I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. Cordelia sent a message to everyone, I guess the other guys and the Merry Thieves, to go see Matthew because Matthew is very ill. He has been trying to just cold turkey stop drinking, and so when they go find him, the scientist Shadowhunter guy that really likes science, he has done the research on coming off of alcohol, and he reports to him that like you can't just cold turkey it at your level because you could, like, your body can shut down, you can have heart failure, you can have seizures, and like spelling it out for him, like, you could die if you don't do this the right way. So he has this concoction that has a little bit of alcohol with some herbs and water and stuff, and it seems a little bit extreme. I know that these facts are true if you have been dependent upon alcohol for so long, but usually you don't see that in like kids his age. You see that in people who are quite a bit older. The thing that I really love about this scene and this whole storyline is that we are taking down the romanticism of this brooding guy that drinks to solve his problems. I don't think I've ever seen at least a fantasy novel that addresses that, and I think that is so incredibly cool that addiction is a thing. Alistair is really heavily playing up the broody guy that has all these deep... Alistair is very much playing up the deep broody guy that's going to try to control everything. He has admitted to Thomas, and vice versa. Thomas has admitted to Alistair that they love each other, but they're not going to be together. Alistair said that he's going to be moving to Tehran with his mother and the baby because Cordelia needs to stay in London because of her marriage and everything. And he's like, the only thing I have here is you, Thomas. And Thomas is like, is that not enough? Alistair just kind of like has made up his mind for everybody involved, and that is so annoying. And Thomas very adamantly is like, well, I'm pretty sure that's not your decision to make. Cordelia now speaking to Alistair also saying, this is not your decision. You don't know what's going to happen. Thomas wants to deal with his family his way. It's not for Alistair to decide what he can and cannot give up. So I feel like that kind of personality for the brooding character is kind of tropey, but is what it is. I guess every book needs their one character. All right, we're about 43% of the way through. We're doing a lot of talking about the plot now more than our characters and their love lives. Jesse found a mirror, which is... Tatiana had these mirrors, and Jesse found these mirrors. These mirrors allow whoever's looking through them to see into Belial's realm, or see Belial. And apparently Tatiana would like go just stalk him. She was very strange woman. Right before all this happened too, though, so they all get together, all the Merry Thieves, they get together, except for Cordelia. Is Cordelia there? So all the guys get together and they decide that he is going to use these mirrors to see what Belial's up to, so they can like see what his next move is. It's just after 8 o'clock tonight, and I just wanted to update. So James went to go see what Belial's up to, and we've had growing little hints as to what his plans are. Things like, one of the biggest messages is they will rise. Cordelia was trying to figure out... Cordelia actually summoned a demon to figure out, well, what did they mean by they will rise? But by using the mirror, James went to go see what Belial was up to. And what he saw was like an army of chimera demons. Chimera demons possess something. Otherwise, they're useless. So they were very confused about this. But somebody else had mentioned that Belial is actually trying to summon an army of the dead. Basically, a bunch of bodies who've been like displaced. Basically, whatever happened to Jesse and how he was able to possess his body, that's basically what he's done. So that's where we're at. Oh my goodness. Okay, so last we checked in with Tatiana, she was housed at one of the institutes. They were watching her until someone could come and pick her up. I think they were actually waiting on the Silent Brothers because the Silent Brothers were going to take her away. She has just been possessed by a demon, and there's a young woman named Letty there who was talking to her, and now Tatiana has been possessed, and I'm just very afraid. I hope they don't kill her. She seems like a sweet girl. All right, Christopher has just gone to visit Grace, and that is just so incredibly sweet. I think it's quite an interesting storyline too, because he was the one person that she never tried to make like her or tried to control in any way, and he is also the one that she finds the most interesting. They both have a fascination for sciences, so I don't know, there might be a redemption arc for her after all. Okay, I'm actually really liking this, and I'm willing to give Grace a second chance. So Christopher goes to visit her, and it's really sweet of him because she thought he was there to talk about science stuff. I think she was really surprised by how much she has enjoyed talking to him, and that's really cool. He is the only person she hasn't tried to control. I think there was one situation where she told him to forget that she was there. She didn't try to control his feelings towards her or anybody else. So he has actually just come to visit her and bring her like a picnic basket because she's missing the Christmas party. And I just think that's really sweet. And she is going to ask Christopher to please tell Cordelia how she had wronged her. And I think that she is really, really putting in the effort and the work to kind of correct her behavior. So she deserves a second chance. Oh my god, this is hilarious. So Thomas goes over to the car stairs, and Alistair answers the door, and he is like having this inner monologue with himself and telling Alistair like that he doesn't look like someone who's going to a party, and then he like said something about comparing him to a Persian prince or something. It was very flowery, very poetic, and then he berates himself in his brain. He berates himself for saying goofy ass shit like that, and oh my god, it's hilarious. Okay, so Magnus has ordered Lucy not to touch or kiss and be cautious of being near Jesse, because of what has happened. He is concerned about this, and he's also pretty personally invested in helping her get better because she is his way to potentially speak to Annabelle again. This long lost love. Alright, so Cordelia has took Matthew aside and told him the truth that no matter what, she just cannot love him the way that he truly deserves to be loved. And this is a really difficult time for him to get this information because he is coming off of his addiction to alcohol, and I do feel for him that this really is sucky timing. But I just think it's really great that Cordelia was honest with him, and I just felt that it was really great that Cordelia was so honest with him. But remember my previous, I can't remember when it was. It had to probably gone all the way back to the first book in the series when I had theorized that, or no, maybe it was Chain of Iron. I had theorized that maybe it would be like a love triangle like Tessa, Will, and Jem. And while it is a little bit of a love triangle, it's a lot better. It's not, I feel that it's a lot better done. Anyways, alright. I am so sick and tired of Tatiana Blackthorne also. Now she's attempting to kidnap Alexander Lightwood, who's just like a baby. Alexander Lightwood is Cecily Lightwood's youngest son. That's who he is. Okay. Ha. Alright. Tatiana's trying to drag out old news about Tessa Gray being the daughter of Belial. And thankfully, Charlotte stood up and was like, get over it. Like, we've already been all over this. She's not really a warlock. She's a Shadowhunter. Like, we've been over this. It's old news, and it's never been a secret. Tatiana's also trying to call out Lucy and James for having powers, which, now that could probably come across as a lie. That might not be very good for them. But somebody tried to jump and tackle Tatiana, and she vanished with Alexander. So now we gotta find Alexander. Alright, this is my last update for the night. I truly must go lay down and get some sleep. It is coming up at 9:30. I'm going to switch over to a different book. But I cannot believe this. This is horrible. Tatiana has pinned Alexander down. He's 3 years old, and she is putting a rune. You're in Cordelia's head as she's watching this, and she's saying that it would be horribly traumatic to put a rune on a child so young, and like it burns. It's very painful, and this woman is doing this to this child. This is so hard to listen to. Like, that's like my trigger, I guess. If you want to talk about triggers, that is my trigger, like talking about harming children. Oh, it's very difficult. Okay, well, I'm gonna sign off for tonight. Good night. I'm hoping to finish this tomorrow.
Good morning. So it is Sunday, and I have a little bit of a change of scenery. Sunday is my big reset day. So I'm going to be making the kids lunches for the week, as well as doing some laundry and everything, and listening to this book. I really hope to finish this book today. I have a little bit of a late start. Let's see here. So sorry, I have a cough drop in my mouth because I've been pretty sick. That's why my voice is all kind of messed up. I think I'm finally getting through this cold, but let's see. So I'm about halfway through. It's going to be a bit of a push to finish it by the end of today. It says that there is 14 hours left, but at 2 times the speed, that's about 7 hours. And let's see. And if it's 10 o'clock now, 1, 12, 1, 2, 3. It might be possible. If I listen straight for 7 hours, it should be done by 5 o'clock. Of course, I will have to make some stops and everything else too, so it might be later than that. Anyways, let's go ahead and do this. Chapter 21. Alright, we have Jesse and Tatiana talking, and Tatiana's feeling betrayed that Jesse has decided to side with the Herondales, and she's trying to plead her case. The Herondales and the Carstairs, they have betrayed her. They're horrible people. They're out to get her. And Jesse was like, actually, the truth is a lot harsher. They've barely thought of you at all. That is kind of interesting. Well, that's unfortunate. I'm going to have to run to the store because we don't have any more cheese for the sandwiches. I thought I had everything I needed, but I guess not. So I'm going to go, and we'll see how far I get while I'm gone. Okay, I've made it to chapter 23, and the biggest things that have happened is that Tatiana was caught and taken to the Silent City, and now Grace is just terrified because she feels that Tatiana is going to somehow get to her. And after they start analyzing it, they feel that Tatiana might be there on purpose because they figured she was caught way too easy. They did get Alexander back, but that was the thing. She wanted to get captured. However, the good thing is Grace has told Cordelia the truth of everything that she did and exactly what happened, basically apologized. So this is so good. So Cordelia, of course, runs home to James, is like, why didn't you tell me? So they are hashing it out, realizing that they both made a mistake, being too proud to just admit their feelings to each other. So yeah, this is such a good scene. I love it. Oh my god. So they're gonna go ahead and have the wedding night that they should have had. But what? James is too impatient with the door that he shoots it off. Okay, I am almost finished. I just have something in the oven, and then I am so excited to just be done for the day. I'm just giving all of the effort, all of the power in myself right now just to take care of these things today. I'm so tired. Anyways, where we are at. So Tatiana did not possess actual, oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. Not Shadowhunters. Oh my gosh, what are they called? From the Silent City. Those creatures from the Silent City with the eyes crossed out. She did not possess those guys. She possessed something that looks just like them, but they live in a separate tomb. Their bodies are in a separate tomb, and they are kind of like Jesse. They're just hollow husks or something like that. So their bodies were available to be possessed. So Belial had taken the Chimera demons and possessed those things, and they're called Watchers, and they wear white colored robes versus the black robes. So now we are in the midst of this battle. Tatiana has brought her demon army to the Institute, and they are fighting, and Grace actually finds Lucy Grace actually finds Lucy and says, like, you guys are losing. There's one way, only you, Lucy, can fight this because Tatiana will not stop and these things are not dying. Her solution is for Lucy to summon up or call forth Robert Blackthorn, Tatiana's late husband. I am very interested to know. And I kind of as soon as she sought out Lucy for this, I had remembered that the whole reason Tatiana is the way that she is because she blames the Shadowhunters for the loss of her family. So she's just taken grief, like, far out of the park. All right, let's hear what Robert has to say. Tatiana's late husband came to talk to her and was very unhappy with her. And also, Tatiana had it in her mind that it was certain people's fault, that he had died. And he's like, absolutely not. That is not even what happened. They came to my defense. They sought revenge after my death. Like, you had it all wrong and you're like gone down this place. And he also completely just renounces her. She's definitely not the woman that he had fallen in love with. So she gets incredibly upset and takes off. Well, I guess she doesn't go far because then it comes around to Cordelia. Oh, so all the Watchers then also leave. So then it comes around to Cordelia and Lilith somehow is summoned. Lilith tells Cordelia to kill Tatiana. She resists until Lilith brings out a different sword, and Cordelia could not help herself. She held the sword, and when she cut Tatiana's throat, Tatiana became ash. So there was nothing left of her. She cannot be raised by Belial. So now we have like the whole aftermath. I feel like we're going to have a lot of talking, checking in with all of our Shadowhunter friends in the story. I guess there's something wrong with Charles. Something is happening. They're trying to put runes on, like healing runes on him, but they keep disappearing, so they're not working. So something's happened to Charles. I'm not sure what it is. We have one more conflict to solve before the end of this book, and that is Belial. After Tatiana was vanquished, he decided to go wreak havoc on the mundanes. Belial is still wanting James to allow him to possess him, and he has decided that until he decides he's just going to burn through the mundanes. When he possesses a mundane, the bodies are just not strong enough and they basically burn to ash. I have a really big question that I'm really not sure about, and to my knowledge they have never expressed it, and I think we're about to find out. Basically, what is the Demon Prince's motivation? What will he do in James's body that he cannot do otherwise? Oh shit, I didn't think James would actually ever agree to it, but we're getting to like kind of a standing pattern. I figured there was definitely a part of me that wondered if they believed James would not fall for it, but Belial had decided to possess a very little girl, like a young girl's body, and the poor little girl was already starting to burn, and he begged him, don't hurt Cordelia, I will allow it, just let the little girl go. And that actually quickly changed his mind, and I thought they would make it a little bit bigger. So like I thought Belial would maybe attack his brother as parabatai or his mom or, someone close to him, not just like a strange little girl. Not that that's not a good enough motivation. But anyways, so James concedes. He goes ahead and agrees to allow it. And then Matthew runs after him and grabs onto his sleeve, and they are sucked into darkness. Oh, no. Okay, it's 5:30-ish now. Now it's about 5:30. I got a couple more updates for a big portion of this side of the book. For most of this, we are just it's just a lot of conversation that I feel like I'm even getting a little bogged down with. But some of the biggest plot points are that Cordelia and Lucy summon Lilith to ask her to send them to Edom, which is her world, so that they can kill Belial. And also, if she could do this for them, if she could also release her from being a paladin. Also, I had said earlier that it was Charles who had died, or Charles who had got hurt, but it wasn't. It was actually Christopher who got hurt. He's the one that really likes science. And it was him that got hurt. They couldn't put the runes on him, and so he ended up passing away. So a lot of our characters are dealing with the grief of that loss. And even Grace is very upset about this because he was the one person she didn't command to care about her, do anything for her, and he likes her. And I do feel kind of sorry for Grace. That might have been a special person for her. So I do think that her interactions with Christopher helped her see what it's like for someone to, like, I don't know, care about her, be interested in her. I don't think I will be able to finish this book tonight, after all. I'm 81% of the way through. Well, maybe. There's about 5.5 hours left of the book. I am feeling like I'm eager for it to wrap up. Alright, so as we know, Lucy is writing a book called The Beautiful Cordelia, and because she was so upset, she quit writing The Beautiful Cordelia and started writing The Evil Queen Cordelia. And it's really funny. So she ended up bringing it with her to Edom, and Cordelia was like, why would you bring it with you here? She goes, well, you never know when you have an idea. I don't know, it's just really funny. One thing I really love about this, I don't know why my hair is doing this thing over here. It's like pinned back. Anyways, one thing I really love about the scene is really cool too, because Cordelia and Lucy was saying that Cordelia has a wonderful figure. She's like full figured, you know? And Lucy's like, I don't have any shape to me. I'm shaped like a little boy. I've always wanted a figure like yours. And then Cordelia's like, well, I've always wanted a figure like yours because you're so petite and you know, like feminine and petite. And it's just really interesting because, you know, I really like that discussion because it is so true. You always want what you don't have. Doesn't matter what it is. If you have brown hair, you want blonde hair. If you have blonde hair, you want red hair, whatever. Like, you always want what you don't have. I think that's just like a really important message for young adult readers, because so often the beauty standards are critiqued in novels as like the most beautiful. Okay, well, seriously, it couldn't have happened any other way, but James obviously agreed to let Belial possess him. Okay, that entire journey for like 5 chapters through just for them to find Matthew relay the message that there's a bigger plan, so now they have to portal back to London. And I'm thinking, hold on a second, there's a portal, you can just zip your way out, you just doesn't have to go on a long journey to get out now. Why don't you just portal in? Okay, this is interesting and new. So we're actually in James's head as he is being possessed. This is cool. Okay, so we have not liked Charles because he really hurt Alistair. His desire to keep his secret and to rise politically was a lot more important to him than doing the right thing. However, he recently just did the right thing and called out the Inquisitor for blackmailing him, revealed his secret to everyone that he was gay, because that was his big secret that he felt he was being blackmailed for. So that's really good. And I remember this scene because somebody said that blackmail never ends. Next time it'll be something else. Next time it'll be something else. And it'll just keep coming. So, which they're not wrong. So, is it also just me? Does it just seem kind of crazy that these demons are... Like, why doesn't Lilith just go kick Belial's ass herself? I don't get it. Alright, well, that's pretty cool. So Lucy is using her gift. I knew this was going to come up somehow in the great epic battle. Her gift would have a purpose and kind of be the key to defeating them. So she uses her gift to summon up the souls of the possessed Iron Sisters and the brothers. And she's going to try to get them to get angry and possess their bodies, kick the demons out, because they have a way to kill the demons. So that's pretty cool. What the hell is happening? So this prince wants to be crowned? He wants a coronation? He is a prince of hell, but he wants to be the king. Cordelia is asking, isn't that a mundane thing? So he wants to rule all of London, maybe all of England, and the whole world. He wants everyone to kneel to him. Okay, so they're having this standoff at the altar in Westminster Abbey, and James is able to come to the surface and look at Cordelia and ask for Cortana. And I kind of knew what was happening. He knew she wasn't going to be able to stab him or get close enough to do it. So James uses that moment and takes Cortana and stabs himself. So I guess what they're going to do, because Cortana can actually heal as well because she's a paladin. So they're going to kill Belial, and then she's going to heal James, and we're going to James back. Okay, not that we're surprised or anything, but of course it worked to heal James, so he's all alive and stuff. They're probably going to have some sort of sexy reunion. Also, Lucy's little trick calling on the spirits is working as well. Bridget is hilarious. I don't know about her character, but I really like her. Like, I like her voice. Here comes Lilith. Okay, now Lilith is like, you have to slay Asmodeus now because he's going to come try to claim her realm next. This girl needs to fight her own battles, I swear. Oh, no. Her deal was that she would be the one to stab Belial. That's what she said. And it was actually James who stabbed Belial. So she's stuck. Oh, crap. How are they going to get out of this? Okay. So she said that the killing blow will be dealt by Cortana. She didn't say it was necessarily her. Whew. Okay. Oh, hold on. So, since Belial died, all of their powers that had come from him will also not be useful. So not only will James and Lucy cease to be able to like touch the shadow realms and stuff like that, but whatever power Tess had, I forgot what hers was. Oh, she could shapeshift, but she hasn't really been a part of this book, so. And I guess she hasn't really ever used that power since she didn't need to anymore, so. What the hell? Okay. So Belial died. And now there is another one to replace him. And he's just gonna pop in and just be like, oh yeah, so I exist. Watch yourself. Like, I don't know. I just don't understand. Like, demons are supposed to just be like top tier evil, kill with no like really thought. Like, they have such a long vast life. Why are they picking on little kids? It seems really weird. I don't know, the whole like demon thing, like the way they are with each other, like they're catty and they like to shit talk, and I'm just like, I feel like if they were real demons, they wouldn't give humanity a second thought. What do they care with little peon humans, you know? Whatever. Oh no, Lucy had made a deal with Malcolm that, was it Malcolm? Yeah, Malcolm. I thought it was with Magnus. I forgot. One of the warlocks, she had agreed that she would help them reach out and talk to Annabelle, but her power has been taken and she cannot fulfill that promise she made. That really sucks. Okay, this light is so much better. I was totally losing daylight and I didn't realize like I have an overhead light. Anyways. Oh my god, it's already 7:15. And this is like the longest epilogue. The epilogue was an hour long. So basically we're just revisiting every single character and where we're leaving off, who they're with, what their life looks like now from here on out. Malcolm, and this is where I got things twisted. So I thought that it was Magnus Bane who was in love with Annabelle and had asked Lucy to talk to her, but then she actually had made a deal with Malcolm Fade. There's a story there that I obviously missed, or it wasn't expressed in this book. I did hear that all the Annabelle stuff comes later on in Dark Artifices, which I didn't really follow very closely, so I don't recall what that storyline is. Matthew had been holding on to this secret for so long, and it was destroying him from the inside out. And he finally went to tell his parents about what happened with how he inadvertently caused a miscarriage. They forgave him. He thought that they would just be so upset and everything, but they completely forgave him, said it's not your fault. Like, how could you have known? You didn't intend to do that. You were fed a lie and all this stuff. So he has had this great weight lifted off. But the thing that I feel like really hits home with that story is that he was saying, Charlotte and Henry's told him, we didn't just lose one baby, we lost 2 children, because Matt was never the same and he kept pulling back, and like that was more devastating for them. So, oh, I'm so glad that he's resolved that conflict. Everything else with Alistair and Thomas, they're in love and gonna go do things, and Alistair loves being a big brother to baby Zach. Is it Zachariah? Yeah. Oh, another really cool story is Ariadne's mom filed for a divorce from Mr. Brookstone, and she is a lot happier now. She's freer. She's accepted Ariadne and Anna, and just like invites them to stay at her home. So that's all tied up in a beautiful, pretty bow. All right, that's it. I have finished this book. I feel like I really loved this trilogy as a whole. I don't feel that Chain of Thorns was really my favorite out of the trilogy. I felt that the whole second half of the book got really wordy, a bit repetitive, as some of our characters kind of have to retell their stories to multiple groups of people. I don't know why that really kind of grated on my patience a little bit. As far as the trilogy goes, I thought that Grace was probably the best antagonist. Her character just really made me so emotional. Tatiana was probably second favorite because, again, she was just like she was so twisted. And you really just didn't know what to expect. Belial was kind of like, it kind of felt repetitive of other demons from other trilogies, like the end, what we've been building up for the whole trilogy. It always kind of builds and builds until they have a massive battle at the end, whatever threat it is, whoever's behind it. So it felt a little bit predictable. So I think that, like, again, that second half of the book was all, I don't know if exposition is quite the right word, but yeah, I was like kind of eager for it to like just get to the point already. As far as things that I really, really liked, Cordelia is such a cool character. She's a character that is probably going to stick with me because there's a lot of qualities in her personality that I feel like we don't see a lot of in young adult fantasy. Lucy was kind of an annoying character. I don't know what it was. There was something kind of annoying about Lucy. But I like that they're parabatai and everything, but they still felt like so detached. Even Matthew and James, in some ways, kind of feel like distant as far as parabatai. Like, how many battles were they really fighting side by side? There was a couple skirmishes while they were like walking the streets of London, but they were really mostly just off on their own doing their own thing. And I know that one explanation of the distance between them was Cordelia, but after they had hashed all of that out, they did seem closer. At this time, I think that's all I really have to say about this book. I will be kind of developing some more videos to go with this whole reading experience, as in, like, I want to do like a tier ranking, and I'm not quite sure what else at this time, but I needed to obviously finish this series before I do want to do some like total wrap up of like the experience of reading the entire saga sorts of videos. So that's something to look forward to, and thank you so much for watching. I'm eager to start Throne of Glass tomorrow, but it's time for me to go to bed. I need to make some dinner and go to bed, and I will see you soon for more videos. Also, this is something I'm really bad at asking for, but if you would like to support my channel, please go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. That's so helpful.